Hey guys, Matthew here and welcome to the 16th video of my bossing series. So today we're going to be looking at the third of the memories, which is the altered distant memory. So one thing I completely forgot in the first two videos of the series, for the memories anyways, is basically how to go about getting these maps and of course maximizing profit. I think that should be pretty simple. It doesn't mention anything about these maps from the Awakening level bonus, but I know for a fact that whenever you kill a T11 plus map boss, there is a random chance, I don't know the odds, that you get one of these maps. That can always happen. One of the 4 memories, and if you kill a T14 plus map boss, there's a chance that you drop a Cortex. That is a fact. I don't know the odds, however. But I know that you can increase that by 1% if you use neural pathways. As you can see, chances for a synthesized map to drop from unique bosses, T11 plus. So again, T11 for the memories, T14 for Cortex. That's going to, whatever the chance is, it's going to increase it by 1%, which is pretty nice because that might mean double, it might mean even more. As for the small nodes, there's really nothing special here. Increased synthesized monster pack size, okay, maybe a little bit more XP, but whatever. There is also a chance, however, that I forgot to say, that Zana sells you one of these maps. It is very, very rare, but it can happen. Okay, now let's talk about vivid memories. Monsters and synthesized maps have 1% chance to drop as synthesized items. 99% of the time, or 99.9% of the time, this is going to be completely garbage, right? But it's kind of like playing a slot machine. Eventually, if you do it enough times, there's a chance that you get something truly incredible. There's also 100% increased effect of additional modifiers on unique synthesis maps. So that means that the actual effect, so let's say for example you have a 7% chance to drop a fossil, where this is going to become 14% chance to drop a fossil. So if you are intending to spam a ton of these memories, right, if your strategy is like, you know what, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna do these 4 memories, then I'm gonna do the Forgotten Invitation, and I'll do that over and over and over and over and over again, hundreds and hundreds of times, this is going to add up to a lot of loot if you are actually full clearing the map. So I would highly recommend it. However, if you're not doing that at all, right, if that's not the only thing you're doing, literally farming synthesized maps, this is probably not so great. And then there's also Synthetic Source. This is once again a little bit of a gamble, a little bit of a slot machine. You get the unique bosses of synthesized maps drop a well-rolled fractured item. So once again, what that means is that 99.9% of the time, it's going to be trash, right? But the well-rolled fractured item means that essentially if you drop an item, right, and it has some T8 fire resistance amongst other stats, but let's just focus on the T8 fire resistance, and it just so happens that that's the mod that actually gets fractured, right, the fire resistance. Well, because it's well-rolled, all of these modifiers on the item are going to get rolled twice. So there's a potential that your T8 fire res is actually going to be turning into T1 fire resistance, and then it's going to get fractured, which means technically this is making it so you have a lot better chance, or at least basically twice as good, if you will, that when you do drop one of these items, one of the mod that does get fractured is actually going to be decent. But again, the odds of getting something that's actually like fracture worthy on a base that's worthy of actually crafting is just so incredibly small that overall this is a very, very gamble heavy method of making currency. But the line underward is really good. Synthesized unique items drop in areas of 3 different synthesized implicit modifiers. So that's really, 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 really strong, because what it means is that anytime that you drop one of these different uniques, and you can check the first memory videos that I have, I went a little bit more in depth about the uniques. They are going to have 3 different implicits. So instead of having 1, 2, or 3, they're always going to have 3, which means that you're just about doubling the amount of implicits on there, and therefore doubling the odds of getting good implicits, right? Because anything that you get, let's say you get a Circle of Fear with the worst possible rolls on the bottom side, like maximum resistance and resistance or whatever, if you get like +1 power charge as an implicit, it's still going to be pretty damn expensive, right, as a ring. So you are increasing your odds of actually getting decent returns. That's pretty much how you go about maximizing the value of these maps, and of course how do you go about acquiring these maps. Now again, if you don't plan on farming hundreds and hundreds of these and just like literally spamming them, then I don't think that taking anything on this side of the tree is worth it at all. Okay, now let's hop into the actual map itself. And then we are going to, of course, clear the map with our same exact build that we've been using for the entire series. So 5 Link Freezing Pulse Totem, very, very, low tier gear. I'm talking about maybe 1 or so Exalt in a league start scenario. Now, as always, the maps on the mods on the map are what's going to dictate whether the map is hard or easy. So what we got here is Endurance Charge on hit, which is kind of whatever. Shocked Ground, which increased damage taken by 50%, so that's pretty bad. So anytime that I'm sitting on any of this shock ground here, I'm literally taking 50% more damage, which is really awful. And then chance to poison, blind, and bleed. That's not too, or sorry, avoid, poison, blind, and bleed. That doesn't really matter to me. Cannot be taunted, doesn't matter to me. But monsters' action speed cannot be modified below base value. That means that my biggest layer of defense, which is freezing the entire screen, is now nullified completely. On top of the shock ground, this is going to be a bit of a nightmare to run, but of course we'll try our best to you know, not fail it or anything. But yeah, we have basically no defense layers whatsoever without that huge defensive layer of course, freezing everything. Damn, this is going to be a bit of a hard one. Yeah, I'm intending that anytime that I jump into a pack like that, I'm just going to die. But that's okay. As long as we get to the boss, get to showcase the mechanics, that is all that I personally care about. And we should be just about getting there very, very shortly. Okay, one more part. Now, of course, if I'm trying to survive this the best I can, what I would recommend is to put down your totems in front of you and basically wait until your totems are done killing everything before you flame dash in. But for the sake of me trying to speedrun this, I'm just kind of like running through, and whatever happens, happens. Okay, we have reached the boss, so as always, we're going to throw in our ice spear. We're going to close that up, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so the reason I didn't show the PoELab guide for this specific boss is that the PoELab guide is actually missing a couple things. So this is the equivalent of his melee attack. He basically just throws a projectile. It's pretty slow, obviously pretty predictable, nothing crazy going on there. So let's go ahead and do some damage so that he can start doing other stuff.
Be still.
Okay, this is obviously something he does just like all the other ones, right? He is going to spawn some vortex portals. There he goes with some more of these regular projectiles. All right, so now what we missed here, we actually missed something that's pretty important. When he charges up like this, what he does is that he slams forward, and then when he slams forward, he's actually, his actual slam, right? This swipe does some damage, but after that, in the same direction of the swipe is going to be a wave of cold stuff. Now, this is the triangle explosions. The triangle explosions, he basically jumps into the air, and he is going to charge them up. Now, of course, we have some ads, as most of these do. He's going to charge them up, and then you're going to see a bunch of triangles show up on the ground, and they explode after a bit. They do a ton of damage. Okay, so here we go. Now, when you see these, now it was kind of hard to see maybe with my build. So here we go with the triangles again. They do a ton of damage, right? So this is one thing that he does is he actually basically goes into the air. Oh, there we are. When you see these, you basically want to not be completely in front of him because he's going to throw a projectile, but you also don't want to be in front of the blue stuff that he seems to be channeling, right? It is very, very, very deadly, right? See these? You don't want to be in front of that. And you also don't want to be directly in front of him, because if you're directly in front of him, you're going to get hit by his actual projectile. So here are some ads. Now, these are the filaments. The filaments are actually quite interesting in this fight because the way that they work is that they actually get activated if you get close to them, right? So they're actually kind of dormant, if you will, for the majority of the fight. But if you get close to them, there's going to be more and more and more that activate. As you can see, now I'm at the point where nearly every single one of them is activated, and these make the fight a lot harder. So what that means is that you essentially want to... for this fight, you want to not go on the outer ring too much. You want to try to stay a little bit closer. So what that was very interesting there. What he does is he jumps into the air and he's channeling, and then you see these filaments all start to basically also channel. And what they do is instead of throwing these small little projectiles, they throw these huge like frostbolt like projectiles, and they're basically all going towards the boss. They don't do a lot of damage, I'll be completely honest. Like, there's, isn't there penetration or something on this map, if I remember correctly? And they still don't do a ton of DPS, quite frankly. So it's not too big of a deal. Here we go. That's kind of what it looks like. See how they're all charging up, and then instead of showing the regular small little projectile, they throw these huge frostbolt like stuff. Now here's the slam. All right, let's see what he's got. So regular auto attack, nothing crazy. He's just about to die, so I'm trying to showcase a couple more mechanics before that happens. Some ads getting spawned over here. So I'm getting a little bit frozen. Might have to kill these ads. Yep, the ads were the ones that were making this really deadly. So here we go again. He's charging them up, and then you can see them, all the big, huge projectiles basically walking towards them. And then he also comboed that with the triangle explosion. So you'll see these triangles basically spawn on the ground, and you just want to walk out of them. That's pretty much all there is to say when it comes to this boss. He's honestly quite easy compared to the previous one. He's probably basically the way that these memories work, right? The way that these memories work is that you have the rewritten distant memory, very easy. It's the golem. You have the augmented distant memory, which is the really hard one because you get ignited by everything, and that's like the deadliest thing of it all. Is that anything that touches you will ignite you. Which will make that fight really hard. Everything else is easy. And then, of course, you have the altered distant memory that I'm doing right now, which is also quite easy, as you saw earlier. There's not too much to dodge. The boss is also super squishy, and he doesn't kill your totems too fast either, unlike the fire guy, or even the golem guy. So if I was to just walk into this arena, even on a 5-link, right? I debuff him with Flame Golem, Arcanist Brand, he's just dead, right? He's just going to die extremely fast. Okay, so let me talk about real quick about the loot. So here we got a ruby ring. This is pretty much the second best, the best being the synthesized, sapphire ring for the Circle of Fear. This is Anguish. Now the thing about this ruby ring is that, as you can see, it only has one implicit, which is chaos damage. If I was using this node here, it would have 3, right? So maybe it would have anything else. Could be stats, could be resistances, could be charges, curses, could be many other things, which is why I said if you intend to farm a ton of these maps, I would say that using this node is very good. All right, so we got Herald of Ash Reservation and Fire Resistance, which is overall just a completely trash tier item. Unfortunately, we also did drop the Forgotten, which is actually quite interesting because I don't think Maven was actually part of this fight at all. So it does seem that we can drop the invitation without having Maven on here, which definitely something that I wasn't aware of. But yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of the PoELab guide, I'll have it linked in the description as always, but there are some stuff missing. In the guide, it doesn't show 2 of the attacks, right? It doesn't show when he's channeling and I guess you could say getting all the filaments to throw the frostbolt-like projectiles, and it's missing another attack. But I'll still link it. It's a great guide, and it makes it really obvious to see what the different animations are for the attacks. But again, this fight is really easy. Before I go though, as always, I want to say a massive thank you to my supporters: Joseph, Atticus, Don, Brandon, Fruitfly, Reese, Panda, Central Bard, Adorant, welcome back, Naroth, Jacoff, Thomas, Nate, the Great Master, Raymond, Alex, Emil, Tim, Grimoire, Lost with a Map, Flame Scorpion, Nathaniel, Richard, Johnny, Scott, Ronald, Willie D, Kevin, Mucus, Mercury, Bitizen, and Axel, as well as, of course, anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous, and anybody else who has supported me in the past. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.